coming to the Dash community call. Today is our 113th meeting, so a lot of meetings. I sent out these notes yesterday talking about what we did in the last week or so, and in looking through the repo, I found it was interesting. We merged 4 PRs, and I did talk to Riff about issue 110. So I hope you all got these notes, but here they are. And so quite a bit of stuff done there. And then what I don't know if anyone wants to go first or I can go first, but does anyone have an opinion? No? Okay. What I thought was interesting this last week was, if you can see here, the pieces that were completed. I don't know if everyone saw this, but 567 was completed, and I guess this was a change for the drop counters. I didn't know this was done, but this was based on the HLD, so Riff went ahead and did that one. And then this refactor global and ENI counter definitions, I thought this was interesting. It's already merged, but it looks like it was a consolidation of the counters from everywhere into a certain file. And so looks like that's been done. And Riff, chime in if you want to talk about any of these.
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Yeah. This one, 570, updated the template to make SAI Explorer work better. So committed to OCP. Maybe Riff, maybe you could explain this one a little bit.
Oh yeah, sure. So Kristina, do you mind to open the original CR, original PR, like from the OCP?
1971.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically this is how the SAI Explorer looks like. So right now, what happens is that all the SAI header files that we generate will have almost like a common description on what file it is. So you end up with looking like this in a SAI Explorer. So it will all looks like extension, SAI extension specific API definition, but don't really know like what it is. So in the SAI community, there is someone who submitted this PR. So did some changes to the titles, and then we can see it actually makes more sense because everything has its own name. So what happens is that because he did this change directly in the SAI repo, and so that means that whenever we generate a new API, we bring the new API to the SAI community, things will break again. So in this PR, I actually asked him to see if he could also contribute to the Dash, just change the template files. But he probably never actually work on Dash, but he has certain ideas like what to change. So basically, I took his change, modified it a little bit, just making sure it works, and then create a PR, created this PR.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's his but I think the uppercase, lowercase stuff will actually break some of the side checks, but whatever, those things I think I should have it all fixed. So that's how that the PR I created over there.
Are these descriptions generated somehow, or are they passed with metadata? With
these ones?
Annotations, I mean.
Yeah, like the you mean the SAI Explorer names?
Yeah, so for example, dash ACL, dash ENI, it's just, or outbound CA to PA, where does it take it from?
Oh, I see. So this one is manually written, which is why I'm saying if anything changes, anything new or anything regenerates, then things will break again. So it's but he didn't know those APIs are generated, which is why he just did the changes directly to the header files.
Well, we probably should add that to annotations someday.
Yeah. So right now, what I did is that I took the table names or the file names, and the file names is actually having all the like underscores, right? So from the P4 files. So the change basically takes that files, break the or replace the underscore with a space, so you can have the the space in between, and use that to generate the API. But yes, in a later on we probably need to add the description, which is actually one of the effort I'm actually working on. Yeah. So if we look into the open PRs that in the Dash community, like right now, so you'll see some of the initial changes. So we are going towards that direction.
Sorry, I'm just poking around looking here, Riff.
Oh yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
There is one change in the draft. So
Yeah.
if we have some time, I can briefly talk through that one later. Yep.
Thank you. And then the other one, the last one I saw that was interesting was again, I believe this is Riff refactor the SAI API gen into Python modules. So you made a pure code move and didn't change functionality. So this is a lot of work though.
Yeah, it's a little bit of work.
Yeah.
But it basically breaks huge site generator files, like with, I don't know, 1,000 lines of code into, a list of the, like the Python modules. So this one will be more maintainable. So because if we look into any one of these files, like those files are really straightforward to read. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, one comment on this thing. It's not related to this PR, but to SAI API Gen. Sometime in the past, I guess it was Riff, there was also refactoring to that. And there is a bug right now. I found a workaround for my pull request, but we'll need to fix it because there is kind of a reduction logic for action parameters that repeat across different actions. So for example, like what would be a good example? The underlay dip that appears in multiple actions will be presented as one attribute inside API, which is correct, but the SAI API struct that is generated for SAI lib implementation will carry only one instance of that parameter with the param ID that was found at the first occurrence. And this param ID is not the same across actions. So what happens is actually
I'm actually aware of that.
You
So
get the point.
Yeah. But that's not from my refactor. then is actually the initial code. It's just like is always like that.
We always had
yeah.
one parameter.
Yeah, because it always has the DPU project. In order to generate one single attribute for multiple parameters with the same name. So so yeah, then is like the I'm not sure, but the thing is that it is a day one issue. This is not a new. It's not like the refactoring breaking it, because
Okay,
essentially it's like
yeah,
one to many mappings. Yeah.
I couldn't find that. I was digging with git blame, and since so much of the code was changed, I couldn't probably get to the very source of it.
Then the logic is confused me a lot when I was like doing the refactoring stuff. So, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
but Marian, let's discuss this one because I'm not sure like if there is like a quick way to actually fix this issue. But
We'll need to
This is-
change the SAI API struct because right now those parameters, I believe they are detached from actions. I don't recall the exact schema of the SAI structure that we generate, but they are detached. We need to change that. We need to have a reference from a parameter to the action and to get that action's param ID. Maybe add a map.
we have that.
Like that.
Yeah, we have that back reference in the code. But the thing is that in the final template, like how do we generate the right one, because the attribute is actually on the table, right? It's emerging on the table. So I think let's discuss that a little bit offline. Yeah.
You just one sentence. First you find first you look for the action type. When you know the action type, later on when you go through the rest of the and that's what we do, by the way, right now. And then when you find the parameter, you can reference your action type. I think I can come up with a draft for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what I also saw, just a couple of drafts in play right now, nothing for covering, but I thought they were kind of interesting. So once they're ready, we can bring them back and talk about them, I suppose.
Yeah. So this one is actually fairly ready.
Sorry.
Sorry. I think this one is yeah, but this one right now is it is pending on the previous change to check it in. This is why I marked it as a draft.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just making sure like things gets reviewed in the right order, because this one actually contains changes from the other PR, so it makes a change like a lot, but it doesn't really have that many changes. Yeah.
So
but
I don't know what ABI compatibility is. What's that?
Oh yeah. So is it okay to Kristina, do you have anything else you want to cover first, or we can come back to this one after?
Okay, we'll come back to this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second. And so, Kamil, I did want to let you know that we talked about issue 110. Riff and I did, and we thought that perhaps, and just let me refresh memory. Was it Kamil that was? No, it was someone else. Never mind. Okay, never mind. Go ahead, Riff.
Oh,
somehow I lost. Did you need to share, or did you want me to share?
Yeah, I can share.
Okay.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. my machine is confusing.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I just got a new machine myself the other day, so I'm not using it yet.
That's great. That is great. Okay, so let me actually share my screen. This window, right? This window. There we go.
Got it. I can see.
Okay, great. So basically, this is the draft, right? Right now is pending, and the purpose of this draft is actually helping with two things. The first one is API compatibility. So this is with this single change, it probably won't like solve every issue, but it's like the first step we are taking towards that direction. So let's see if that makes sense. And then the second issue then it helps is actually the code review. So the two problems right now we are facing is that the first of all, whenever we actually add a new attribute or new, for example, like keys or anything or counters, what happens is that it could be, first of all, it could be spread across the multiple files, just like the ENIs, which is why I did this ENI refactor thing. because as we can see, like all these stages will actually contains like ENI level counters. It right now spread it spread it in all these files. But what happens is that when we generate the SAI APIs, this is like what like the API compatibility. Like what is API compatibility? The SAI requires the attribute to be generated in a maintaining the order. So which means that all the APIs, all the attributes should be remains old, while the new attribute should be appended in the end. What is required is that the value, like the integer, like underlying integer value of each attribute, should not be changed across the versions. So that means that we can actually, when the new version gets released, the new version gets released, the old binary can still work with a new version, or the new binary can still work with old version, because the enum value is not changed across the versions. However, because if any of the APIs or any of the attributes gets generated in the middle, for example, like the stats, for example, if we add the counter somewhere in one of these mappings, and then those counters depends on how people compile it. Those counters may be added in the beginning or in the end. Or in the middle. Then the enum value after this new stats will all be changed. So in order to patch this thing, the initial step to actually is like a bandit. Is then okay. Let's add a order in any of the attributes. So this order is actually supports the action parameters, the counters. So it is actually one of the basic annotations that we have. Then when we generate APIs, we will use this order to do a sort to making sure like things gets generated in the right order. However, there are multiple, there are more cases. For example, like the keys, table keys and table values, they are actually maintained in the two different like list. For example, the counters are spread across the files. So you can see, even though this file only contains one single counter, however, the order says it's 3. How does this 3 coming from? If you're not familiar with the code, I probably get so confused, like why is 3 not 0? It's so confusing. Like which one is actually trying to compare to? So because of these issues, like this is another bandit to actually stop the things becoming even worse. So by moving all the counters into the same file, global-ish counters. This is how this this file or this PR gets submitted. Is then, for example, right now we have a few like global like counters that will spread all over the place. The first one is port level counters. The second one is ENI level counters. So that's why all these counters gets put into the same place. And now the order start to make sense. Now we can see the order like the initial ones is added, like order 0, then order 1, order 2, and order 3. So, and this one we can see it's coming from 3 different files. So, and with this one, the order start to make sense. However, if in the older way, it is actually not. It's very confusing. So, because of this, because of all these like API issues, and it will be better to have a very generic like the approach in order to like explicitly name the or giving the order. We can actually have a better approach to making sure things are added in the expected order. So that's one of the motivation here. The second motivation is actually for the code review. For example, let's take one of the, let me be the bad guy. Just say, okay, I'm refactoring all the global ENI counter definitions. All right, so this is the PR, and submitted with saying, hey, we're changing this thing and should not change any, our existing APIs, right? It's just like moving the stats to somewhere in a unified place. However, if we look into this PR, there is nothing to prove what I'm saying. Well, so there's nothing can reflect any API changes in the system. Yeah, especially if we look into other like the stuff that could change the size, for example, flow simulation APIs. And then HOD is here, and then we generate the SAI API. But if we look into the like the change, there's nothing to reflect all the SAI updates like in this PR, because everything is updated locally. It's not like the upstream. So what I end up with is then people are doing two things. The first one is then, okay, let's do a screenshot just like this. This is the key things that will be changed along with those attributes. So those attributes can be maybe able to see in a test, or or people just put say, oh, this is a branch that I created as a preview. But that's pretty much what people is doing with those SAI updates. So in order to help the code review stuff, this change actually trying to introduce a YAML file which defines a SAI spec. So what happens is that when we compile the SAI headers, the SAI generator right now has a printer lib a flag, which will actually print all the objects in there. Instead of like besides doing that, because in that one we actually have all these like back references, have all these like intermediate like the states for parsing. So those things are actually quite destructive when we actually yeah, it's like a destruction when we actually reviewing the changes. So this YAML file will be more clean because it only contains like all the updates in the SAI and in the also in the perspection of the SAI. So it's really use the SAI like the structures and everything, all the metadatas. But it's a subset of the metadatas. So this is how the yeah, let me open the file. And this is how the current spec gets generated. So first of all, the SAI spec actually contains the API types. It contains object types. Actually, let's go to the real file. Oh, come on. Yeah, SAI spec. There we go. So it actually contains the API types, object types, object entries, and global enums, port level extensions, and also every API groups. And in the API groups, we'll see all the tables, but instead of like using the tables, this one will have very explicit like SAI APIs. Each SAI API will have its own like enum, structs, attributes, and stacks. So with this structure, we can actually have like literally everything, like every change in the SAI API and gets like organized here. Then if any change that changes the API, the spec file will be generated as part of the the make SAI headers. So make SAI headers will just generate this file. Then that means that whenever we submit a PR, any changes we do will just directly reflect the file, be reflected in the file. Then will help the code review because we will see like, oh, there is new attribute gets generated. And the order of these files, order of these fields right now, it is in the same order as how we generate the SAI APIs. So it basically took the yeah, there we go. It basically took the list and to sorry, probably not this one. Yeah, this one is like the yeah, which is why like this is the actually contains the changes from other things, but it actually took it actually respects the order because it's an enumerates a list and then generates a thing. So whichever way we whichever order we actually use to generate the attributes, we'll use the same order to actually generate the specs right now. But later on, we can actually improve on this one because, as we said, we can actually use a merge approach. So anything like added in the added later will be merged into the end. So we can always keep the order of the like the attributes. So that's basically how the size spec, like the motivation and the approach, we are actually trying to move forward to help the API compatibility and the code review.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep this file in SAI repo?
It's not in the SAI repo. So it is in the dash repo. It's not in the SAI repo, but it is in the dash repo under the SAI folder.
But that's SAI submodule.
Yeah, no, this
oh,
one
no,
is
it's not. Okay.
yeah, the SAI side.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So this one is in the dash repo, which will help the code review.
So are you trying to fix the ordering compliance with that, or
yeah? So both.
problems?
Yeah, so both the ordering and the code review problem. So with this one, we can actually fix it for good. We don't have to worry about all this like order stuff. Yeah, those things will just be naturally be fixed.
So I think ordering problem has a different issue, and that's because of the way we were trying to deal with that before. Because what we pass right now is a relative order. What we should do instead is to pass the exact enum value, because that order doesn't also make sense to me. Just
Order
by
is
look.
Yeah, because order is actually one of the prerequisite to actually maintain the enum value. There are actually two things in the dash that will break the API compatibility. The ordering is the first thing, so this one will be covered by this change for good. And then the second one is actually the start value of each enum, and this one is another thing.
But that's still
I'm
relative.
actually aware.
How are you fixing it within enum if it's all relative ordering? Why not pass the exact value?
So that is not actually the problem of the dash itself, right? So that is actually how the like the entire SAI extension models, because right now there is no dedicated range for the extensions. I'll take some of the example. Let's go to the SAI repo, and also go to the dash repo. We need to be side by side. Actually, that yeah, SAI is good. We just need the Let's take any of the things, switch extensions or type extensions. I think they're both good. So as we can see, the switch extensions like the range start, right? This is the second problem of the API compatibility, which is something we need to fix as well, along with the ordering stuff. So ordering is one thing, and besides ordering, we also need the starting value of each extension to be the same. And that means that here.
No, you have these, let's call them constants, size switch utter end. You can use that as your starting point.
That's a problem. We cannot use this one as a starting point. Let me show you why. So let's go to the include size switch. There you go. So this is the end of the attribute, right? And say,
yeah, but you have custom range start below.
But we are not using the custom range start.
So you should use that.
That's something we probably need to discuss. I'm not sure if it is good to use that. I think Kamil is here. Then maybe like we should.
This is your dedicated range for extensions that are used by.
Not really. Not really.
Then
so
what is it for?
So this is for so in my understanding, we can use it for like extensions, but some other vendors might also use this range to extend the SAI attribute in their stuff. So what happens is that if we directly use this range, it could conflict with those things. So that's why the dash extension model right now is that it takes whatever the extended values here, extended attributes here, directly put it after this one. So
right.
it basically just
yeah. So why isn't the utter end good enough? Switch attribute end good enough if that indicates where the extensions should start from?
So if we use the end, what happens is that what if people add another attribute before the end? Then all the values after the end will be shifted.
But that's fixable as well. Just assign another constant to utter end in here in this file. Just assign something lower than the custom range start, and then you will have
like I said, this is two problems, right? The first problem is that we need to maintain all the orders from the dash. We need to making sure like the dash attributes are generated always in the same order. The order cannot be changed, right? The second one is that we need the base value to be fixed. We cannot use this end. We need our dedicated range, right?
But this is just a general SAI problem. Just add assign value and you're done.
That's why like that change I'm not proposing in the dash, right? That's something like we need to fix as a general problem of all the SAI extensions. It's not just dash will having this problem. It's like any SAI extension will have this problem. We need to have the another thing. I don't know if we can like just directly give it a number to the attribute end, because attribute end is actually the number of all the attributes, like how many attributes we added. If we directly change the value, you could break other things. So that's probably not a good idea.
You can define your own range. These are all available to you. I don't think that SAI community will have any problem with that, because they are aware of binary compatibility issue. It was just not considered for SAI extensions.
Yeah. Then what you're saying is true, and I'm totally agree with you. So this is the second problem we need to fix. So this change will actually covers. So if we look at the SAI APIs.
But going to the fix that you are doing within Dash, the order, I don't really understand this ordering. It looks relative to me. You have it's not an offset from let's say utter end or the new constant. This is just from what I understood, this is some kind of relative order. It repeats across attributes or counters.
Let's take the ENI, right? Let's take the ENI as example. So you see like all the ENIs, like it has all these attributes here, right? So if anyone adds a new thing, how do we know it's always added in the end? Right. So that's why we need to maintain the relative order.
What you can do is have each attribute assigned a fixed value or a fixed offset instead of a relative order, and then SAI API Gen will just sort them.
So you see how many work we need to do with that approach. Every single, that means that in the P4 files, for every single value, for every single key action parameter.
I've been listening for this conversation. So what is the problem here?
Please, Kamil. I can hear you.
What is the question here? What is the problem?
Binary compatibility and extensions.
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't hear that.
Binary compatibility, keeping the same values for all the units.
All the basic values are backward compatibility, but for experimental headers, doors are like changing a lot. So everything that is in experimental range is allowed to change. And it's already happened like multiple times.
Right.
Yeah, so what Riff is trying to solve here is that, to bring binary compatibility to extensions as well, at least to Dash extensions.
That's not possible.
Then So, Kamil, there are two things we need to do to actually make it possible. So the first thing is that for example, take the port ones. Yeah, I think port is actually perfect examples here. So the first thing is that for any attributes that we generated here, it's always generated in the end. As we can see, we actually have all these like add new experimental ports on that line above. Those things to do pretty much use this as a string
But
to make sure everything
those
is added in
values,
the
you
end.
know, those experimental values, they cannot be backward compatible because, as the name says, they are experimental and they can disappear at any time. If you want them to be fixed, just add them in the normal range.
Yeah. I know that's something we intentionally did, right? We just say, okay, this is experimental because it changes so frequently. Let's not apply those restrictions to here. But we are really going to use this one in a in a prod. And
yeah, I don't think experimental is a good name for it. It's just something that is not really standardized, but it still can be required to keep some binary compatibility.
Yeah.
So move those to a normal range. I don't see then a point to have those in the experimental file.
Because they are really extensions. They are not in the normal range.
You
can consider
this stuff, you know, if those are extensions and some vendors will not implement them, then I think that's fine. It doesn't matter. That's how you make the backward compatibility to work. If each vendor doesn't need to implement everything.
I don't think that's the point. The point is that we don't want to mix them into all of the RFC definitions.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Your voice is like really low.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try to speak up. I'm saying that the point here is that we don't want to mix them because they are not part of the standard RFC counters or any other values. It's not that they are changing often. It's just that they are a specific pipeline which is not yet standard.
So if that pipeline is not a standard, that means this pipeline can change.
Yeah, but we can change it in the binary compatible way still. We should be able to do that.
No. If you mean that the pipeline is not defining the RFC and it can change, then it also means if it's changed, it will also change in our headers. And if it will change, then it will not be backward compatible. That's why it is in extension range. Or am I getting this wrong?
But we can move towards that goal. I mean.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that like all the things in the extension range is actually because, say, a normal switch, right? It's not a DPU, a normal switch. It probably won't actually implement like everything inside of the dash. So I don't know if we still should count it as experimental. So I think that is a different topic. But if it is extension, I think it may still make sense to treat it as extension. But yeah, I agree with like the Marian said. We should move towards like the updates with maintaining the backward compatibility, at least in certain level.
I'm not sure how you want to solve this, because one way to solve this is just to move those attributes or enums or whatever to normal SAI headers and leave them at that point.
Mhm.
Well, the other
Yeah,
way to do it is to assign we have, as Riff mentioned, we have a custom range, and we should, which is a fixed range. And we should also have the extensions range, which is fixed. Or we could just agree to use custom range. It's also
So custom range was actually designed for each vendor. So at this range, each vendor could have its own private attributes, which are like not released to the public. And in those cases, between vendor to vendor, the values can overlap. Yeah. So one vendor custom range will not be equal to another vendor. Yeah. So that in those cases they will be not compatible. But everything which is under that range, that should be like compatible between each vendors. Yeah.
Riff, is it really a problem because we're doing that for DPU?
Yeah, let's say, yeah, if we found some
switch
issues like, yeah, like
what you
we
are doing
have
for the DPU?
Again, I'm trying to understand if someone is using custom range for the DPU side.
Oh, a customer. So that one I think is really depends on like each vendor. Like if they want to say, oh, I have some like internal, whichever attributes or whichever features or whichever like debug stuff I want to add as attributes like inside of the their own internal range, they can do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand they can. I'm asking if they're actually doing, or we could just carve out the bottom half of the range for ourselves.
You mean you mean from here, let's say custom range start, give it like the so it's still like the this number, but we can have like extension range start with like 1500 something.
Yeah, because I don't believe there will be such an issue in the first place that we will overlap, because on DPU no one's doing that. But even if there was, and they are doing the extensions while supporting Dash extensions, I think we can all agree to split the range. Because you're talking about a very specific case, right? It's a DPU that supports SAI with Dash, that also has the vendor-specific extensions to port or switch.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah. So
yeah.
Is your let me see. I think what you're saying is that we can add a new range start after the custom range end, and say this is the extension range start, and say we change the value 1 to 2 for the extension range. Is that what you're saying? So we basically curve part of the custom X range into the extension X range, but after the custom X range start.
Yeah, after that, also just maybe give some offset.
Yeah, of course. Like, yeah, basically this one starts from 1, and then the extension range starting from the 0x2.
And you don't need to do it in this file. You can just define that value in a in the extension file.
Kamil, is that something like we could do?
So right now, current parser doesn't support such thing, and it will not allow you to do such thing, because we have many rules that Haders needs to follow, and there are also a lot of checks which are checking that binary backward compatibility. I'm not sure how to. I think if if you want to have another custom range for experimental attributes or extensions, I think that is I think good idea. But I'm not sure how to.
Can we at least
get
change
this
the other end to a fixed value instead of a relative value? Since all of the extensions are based on other end.
The end actually used as a like the number of the attributes we have in the list. So I think directly using that value, yeah, will
then we need
break a lot of
to. Okay, we need to define another range if we don't want to interfere with the custom range. We can define extension range to make it.
I think if you want to start extensions from a custom range, from our extension range, I think that is fine. But the parser will need to be updated for that, because currently, we take advantage of all the attributes that we define, or all the enums that the number are consecutive, so they increase by 1 each time, yeah. And in that case, when we do some attribute searching or serialization, then we can just use attribute ID as an index in the table, and we don't need to search like one by one until we match the attribute when they are actually increasing by 1. But if you want to use that different range for that, then we need to remove that logic and use ignore that the attributes are not increasing 1 by 1, and just on searching just do like traverse entire table for that.
Okay.
I made a few comments in the PR about this. Do we want to think about it some more?
Yeah, I think we probably need to discuss this one a little bit more, how to add the But and this PR is just solving the other issue. Like we need to making sure the attributes we generate are always in order, and we don't have to use order annotation anymore. Then it's so hacky. It's not going to be maintainable.
But how will you ensure that?
So let's take some examples. Let's actually go to a simple one. I think the first few things are simple ones.
I have a question here.
Oh yeah, please.
So if we will have this attributes, these extensions like backward compatible, and then let's say that RFC that describes this pipeline, that changes and it removes some attributes. So will you just also remove those attributes and break the compatibility, or just ignore the ones that were removed?
Well, there is a procedure inside. We can deprecate them.
Your voice is a little bit low still.
Yeah.
Oh, again. I'm saying there is a procedure inside for deprecating attributes, right? The same thing can happen in a standard side. There is a period for which we mark an attribute as deprecated. It's still there, but backward compatibility is preserved, and eventually we may remove it and break binary compatibility. But it was deprecated for a long time.
Yeah. But if you break the compatibility, but the binary compatibility, the wormwood will not work at that, for that.
It's a very specific issue. I don't think it's related.
I think that was the only case, when the backward compatibility matters. Is the wormwood scenario, because if you are doing cold boot, you don't care, because you have new library and new SAI and everything. So
No, not really. Not really. It's also updating packages on themselves by themselves. It's not only about the wormwood. If you have the binary of SAI that assumes the forward compatibility of org agent, let's say, or syncd, and you can use the same SAI binary.
Yes, you can, but I think currently in SONiC we are not doing that. So basically, when we get an update, we just build an entire new image for that.
Then why is it a problem, Riff? Why is binary compatibility a problem?
So if we,
Binary compatibility is a problem for wormwood. So the attributes must match because vendor are using
understand
those.
that. I
Yeah.
understand
No,
the
no,
wormwood
no, no,
problem.
sorry. Kamil, I think you may not record correctly. I think, you know, for the normal side, we already changed the side upgrading process, right? So, you know, we update the header. We don't really require the vendor to upgrade the side binary. I mean, that's how we did for, you know, all these recent 2 releases. So we talk about this one. Yeah.
Yeah, but we are not using like any extensions in SONiC.
Yeah, but I think the, you know, you know, from the folks, they want to do the same for their DPU side, right? So, like the switch side.
Mm. I'm a little bit worried about that because you know we also rely on the attribute names, for example. So in SONiC we don't use like the enum values when we convert like from when we communicate from work agent to syncd. We used just string representation.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
part is fine, but syncd to the side there is a problem, right? So.
Okay, so I think if you want to I mean, I still don't know how to actually do it. Whether we ignore that in the extensions because right now everything which is in the extension range is ignored by the backward compatibility. Yeah. So you know you can change the order. You can that start attribute end can change for each element and the parser will not detect that it will ignore that. Yeah. But I'm assuming that if you want to have another specific range base, like let's say over this custom range, then I assume you want to be backward compatible. So we should turn on the compatibility check on the extensions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think some of the things can be automatically done, and this is the motivation of this PR. Is that if we detect something new, we can mark those things like always appended in the end. If we find something that gets removed, we can automatically mark this one as like deprecated. So we don't have to like remove those attributes, and this keeps the side APIs like the compatible. Also keeps the P4 code clean because if some of the things gets removed, we don't have to keep those attributes over there in order to making sure that the side header files gets generated in the same way. So yeah, so it's I don't know if we can if it's like check, but at least in the process we can definitely help with this issue. So if people follow the process, and it's actually really hard to break the process because if you change the P4, you have to compile the P4 at least once.
Yeah.
And once you compile it, the spec is going to be changed, and it will show up in the PR.
Well, let's bring this one back through then, maybe
Mhm.
next week or the week after then, Riff?
Yeah, sure.
And is that fine with the rest of the group? I just had 2 more I wanted to ask about, if I could steal the share back. Would that be okay, Kamil?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Just because this is like a dash meeting, so if we are adding those custom extensions, shouldn't that be discussed on the OCP meeting?
Yeah. Well, I think what you're
Right.
saying is super helpful for us to think about everything.
Yeah, I think we're just discussing what to actually go to a CP meeting with.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had these two that I'm not sure if they're ready to merge or not. The NCAP handling here and
Yeah.
oh,
So
sorry.
yeah, this one is just like move the code from the the huge dash pipeline.p4 into its own stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be really straightforward. And another thing it actually does is that I think it also changes the matching key, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes the match key to not directly use headers, but also use the ones from the metadata. Because once the header gets decapped, then all the table matches actually will be broken.
So this one needs a review, is what you were saying. And then
Yeah,
the other
mostly just a
one,
code move.
sure. And then this one, said it was purely for renaming. And
Yeah, just
I
rename.
wasn't sure if it was ready to merge or not. So I know you've requested a review from Mukesh. I don't know if he's on the line. He's not.
Yeah.
Do you want me to ping him or is this one
Yeah,
then?
or Marian, if you could help also like review that would be awesome, because this one is just like simply rename. I didn't do it in the same PR as the first one, like doing the refactor, because then it will make the code review like really hard. Because it has the changes while you also move the code, then it's like, okay, which one maps to which one? It's really hard to track. So actually, initially I submitted the two PRs in the same PR, but later on I said, probably not easy to review. So I split them into two. But yeah, those are like very straightforward changes.
Okay. Then I'll open it up to anyone else on the call. If there's something you want to discuss, we're at 10 o'clock. So not sure if you need to jump to other meetings or not. I'll give it a quick. Anyone else on the call have a PR issue you want to cover? Okay, I'll take silence as, oh,
Yeah,
go ahead, Marian,
one
I'm
thing,
sorry.
there is a pull request that I have submitted, but it fails, and I will explain why. The pull request is about adding routing group, but it fails because I'm changing a definition of outbound routing entry. Instead of having a field ENI ID, we have a field routing group ID. And there are tests in SAI Challenger test suite that use DPU Gen to generate config. And the thing is that DPU Gen has kind of a, from what I understand, hard-coded entries definition to generate the config. And it fails because it generates with ENI ID, which is no longer a field, and I have no way to fix that because it's not part of SONiC SONiC community on GitHub. So I'll have to temporarily disable the tests.
Okay, do we need to fix the test then?
Yeah, I think Mircea is the maintainer, not the test, the DPU Gen generator.
Yes, I will fix it. I just need to know what to change to the attributes.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I will fix it. I understood. So it's a routing group, and I need to create a group, I assume.
Not create the group, but fix the outbound routing entry to point to routing group instead of to use routing group ID and the entry struct instead of ENI ID. I can send you the exact error and
yes, will be great, and I'll update it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I have to let you guys go.
I have a question now. How fast will this be reflected in the actual switches, let's say, in the actual hardware? Because I may add this to be compatible with BMV2, but then nothing will gonna work on the actual hardware. I may have this problem too. Let me see. I'll make a new version and try to lock the hardware to an older version of PyDPU.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Probably
Okay.
you'll need to have two versions for some
Sure.
time.
Thank you.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording and let you guys go to your next meeting.